Your stakeholders are those who are set up to help you grow in your career. And the way they are set up is to demand from you, to support you, for you to be able to achieve their demands of you, and to project you for advancement. So those are your stakeholders. Again, they demand from you so that you can do the required things you have been employed and engaged to do. They provide the support that you need to be able to deliver on those things and on those demands. And they project you to make sure that you get your career advancement. Okay. So those three things are critical. And I will be talking to you about mapping your stakeholders. Now, you would have other stakeholders who don't demand tasks from you. They don't demand you to do stuff. They don't really support you to get stuff done, but they are still stakeholders because they have an impact in making sure you advance in your career, because the ultimate goal is for you to advance in your career. So who are your stakeholders and how can you map them appropriately? First, how can you identify them? Because I think that is the most important question that you need answers to, because if you don't know them, then you wouldn't know how to position yourself to make sure that they see you, they align with you, and they become allies of you. Okay. So the first thing is, and I have this framework in my mind as to what your stakeholders are, and I've carried that years and years and years, and it has worked for me. And it's so simple, and it has worked for me. Now, if you look at your organization right now, and you look at your teams right now, who is that person? If you wanted to take advantage of an opportunity, or you wanted to get promoted, for instance, in your organization right now, who is that one person that if the person says yes, then you're going to get that promotion, or you're going to get that advancement, or you're going to get that opportunity? Who is that person, or who are those group of people that once they say yes, then you're going to get it? Who are those people? Who is that person? That is your stakeholder number one. Map that person. That person or those group of people are called decision makers. They are the ones who, after analyzing your performance during the year and after engaging with you and all of that, they say, oh, she's ready to progress, or he's ready to progress, or let's give him that opportunity, or whatever the case may be, or whatever it is that you're looking for. So your stakeholder number one is the decision maker. So you need to know who the decision makers are. Again, they are the ones whose words are final, or the buck stops on their desk. They make the decision about whether you elevate in your career or not in your current workplace. So that is your stakeholder number one, the decision maker. Now, your stakeholder number two is someone who may or may not work directly with you, but they are popular in your organization, popular on your teams. They have built reputation. They have, those reputational currencies they can use. They are widely listened to. I sent the newsletter during the last week about become listened to, not just someone who is heard, who just talks because obviously is okay, it's professional to listen to another person talk or to hear somebody say their piece, but that when you say your piece, people actually take it on board, take your ideas on board and use it to make decisions. So those people are influencers. So that is your stakeholder number two. Who is that person? Whether you work directly with them or not, you just say, they have a stake here because whatever it is they say, the decision makers listen to them. As I'm talking to you, I can plot 2 to 3 people that I know in my current space or in my current office or my job who fill that gap nicely because they are influencers. And then look, there are some people that are decision makers and influencers. Say, for instance, there is a pool of decision makers, but within that pool of decision makers, There is also someone who, decision makers are natural influencers because they make decision anyways, and they can listen to themselves and listen to their intuition anyways. But I'm also saying where you have like maybe 3 or 4 people having to make the decision, they can also be very outspoken and nudge every other person to work in your favor. So know that, and answer the question, who is the influencer in this place? That if I build a relationship with them, if I also support their ultimate, have a warm relationship with them, if I speak to them about my advancement, there is a high chance they can support me to progress. Who is the influencer? So you need to know who your influencers are. That's your stakeholder number 2. Your stakeholder number 3 is your immediate boss, or the bosses you have on the lineup in your organization. Now, sometimes your bosses are not the ultimate decision makers, depending on the size of your organization. Sometimes your bosses are not the ultimate decision makers. Your bosses may not be influencers as well. And that is why it is critical and fundamental for you to build bilateral relationships across your organization. Now, your immediate boss is critical because even though you have good relationships with the decision makers and with the influencers, if your immediate boss says you don't do your work well, or they don't trust the work that you do, or they don't just like you, or they don't just think you're the right person for the next role you're looking to have, there is a high chance the decision maker and the influencers will ride on that because they may not be working with you directly, and they would like to have an input from someone who reviews your performance and works with you closely. And that is why your immediate boss is so critical. And whatever you do, you need to make sure that you're building the right relationships with your immediate boss or bosses, your bosses in the lineup. Okay. So those are your 3 critical stakeholders. If you've heard me write this before, maybe on LinkedIn, or I have videos on YouTube that I've talked about this before, this is a reminder for you to know who your stakeholders are. I will go into another dimension because different organizations have different ways they operate. There is another stakeholder that you have. They are called sponsors. Now, a sponsor can be a decision maker or not. A sponsor can be an influencer or not. Now, a sponsor is that person who has access, okay, and has a voice. They have access, they have a voice, very similar to an influencer, but slightly more powerful. Now, a sponsor, an influencer may not have access to decision making rooms. A sponsor does. So you need to look at a sponsor is that person that after maybe talking to your immediate boss, engaging with other stakeholders, they will put their name against your name and say, I am a ally and I need her to progress. And it's like a note to whoever makes the decision that they are literally sponsoring you to progress. Okay. So again, depending on the kind of organization you work with, you may just have 3 stakeholders, you may just have 1, you may have 2. So, but if you work in a large organization, you may have all of them, and you need to understand where every single one of them works. Okay. So you need to pay attention to this. You need a sponsor. A sponsor is that person who has access to decision, like they will be there when the decision is made. They may not be the ultimate decision maker, but they will be in the room where the decision is being made. Now, in my organization, for instance, we have we have different roles in terms of like formal roles for people who support you in your career. We have a coach who engages with you almost like on a monthly, quarterly basis. Then you have someone who is like a step ahead of a coach, but then the person just gets updates from the coach to make sure that you are you are on track and all of that, and if not, why. And the person has access to the moderating rooms where decisions are made, whether you progress or not. So in that case, that person, while that person may not be your sponsor per se, the person goes and bangs the table on your behalf. So in your organization, pay attention to who does that or who can do that, and then you build relationship. Then you have mentors. Now, mentors are so sometimes benign, sometimes not. And when I mean benign, sometimes they are not as powerful and sometimes they are powerful. So you must just be careful where you pitch people. Now, sometimes you just have mentors, not because you want to advance, but because you just want to grow, get some help, how to set up your career and all of that. So you may just have someone who probably maybe can help you, can give you some tips. You have mentoring chats with them every month or so. They may have decision making clout or not. So they're just sometimes very benign. And mentors you should continue to get the best out of mentors, because obviously they'll tell you the right things you need to do and how to face some specific problems you have, but they may not be able to go into rooms and bang the table for you, even though you're doing all the hard work. So you must be able to pitch mentors where they sit, and in some cases they can be your mentor, they can be your sponsor, they can be the ultimate decision maker, they can be everything. So pay attention to it. It's quite a fluid system depending on the organization where you work. So what I'm going to say to you is, after identifying it, because the whole idea of this particular note to you is to be able to identify them. And I hope this will help you identify who those people are, so you can put them in the various categories and build relationship. What matters ultimately is that you are able to build relationships with them. And you cannot build relationships with them without talking to them. So get ready to have conversations with these people. Get ready to, have conversations with them, to talk to them, to build relationships with them, to show them your work, What I would say is, a thought just crossed my mind. When you have a sponsor, for instance, try from time to time when you have conversations with them to not just make it personal conversation, personal talks. Talk to them about the good things you're doing, the kind of projects you're managing, the feedback you're getting, so that they can continue to have increased confidence in you. More so, increased confidence in supporting you for progression or in supporting you for career advancement. This particular tip is quite critical. You have to, when you have a sponsor, don't just go and chit chat. You have to be showing your sponsor all the good things you're doing, so that they feel more confident banging the tables for you in meetings where decisions are made. So I hope this blesses you. It's been fantastic.